What horrible skill did you learn from your dad? My father forced me to seduce my female teachers starting in middle school because he believed I needed to practice destroying women before I could properly ruin the ones who'd wronged him. My dad had issues with women. First, my mom left him for another guy, and then his female boss fired him after he hit on her at the office. After that, he saw all women as manipulative predators who deserved to be destroyed, and he decided he was going to teach me to use them before they could use me. He'd drill me for hours on what women wanted to hear, making me practice vulnerable expressions and memorize stories about needing maternal guidance. When I was 12, he started pointing out which female teachers were single mothers or going through divorces. If I resisted his training sessions, he'd take away my games and ground me for months, saying women would destroy me like they destroyed him if I didn't learn to destroy them first. In 7th grade, he picked my English teacher as my first target. He made me stay after class pretending to struggle with assignments, then slowly open up about missing my mom because apparently female teachers love that emotional crap. I didn't yet understand the full scope of what he was pushing me to do, but I did know it didn't feel right, and I told him I wasn't going to play along. That's when he grabbed me by the shoulders and told me that if I didn't listen, he'd have me shipped off to military school. There are no female teachers there, he said. Just big burly men who want to make a skinny boy like you their bitch. Is that what you want? I didn't know what that meant either, but his voice was enough to have me terrified. Dad had a list of targets at my school. My math teacher who just had a messy breakup, the young science teacher everyone had a crush on, or the guidance counselor who tried too hard to connect with students. Dad would research their weaknesses through parent networks and social media, creating detailed psychological profiles. I had to worm my way into their lives and report back to him with every interaction, every moment of emotional vulnerability, and every time they offered extra help. The manipulation made me sick. These teachers genuinely wanted to help what they thought was a struggling kid from a broken home. They'd offer support, share their own experiences, try to be the positive female influence they thought I needed. Meanwhile, I was recording conversations, saving texts, and screenshotting emails that could be taken out of context. Dad called it building leverage and made me organize everything in folders labeled with each teacher's name. By high school, I had compromising information on 8 different teachers. Nothing had happened, but Dad had taught me how to frame innocent interactions as inappropriate. A comforting hand on my shoulder became unwanted touching. Staying after school for tutoring became suspicious alone time. He hadn't used any of it yet, saying I was still in training, but I knew his real targets. My mom, her lawyer, the female judge who'd given her full custody, and his former boss. Eventually, he was going to have me claim they'd all tried to take advantage of me, and I'd be well rehearsed in manipulating evidence to make it seem true. Once your training is done, he'd say, we'll destroy any woman we want. Everything changed when Ms. Burns, my history teacher, figured out what was happening. I'd been assigned to get close to her, but she recognized my rehearsed emotional revelations and calculated vulnerability. After class one day, she said gently, someone's coaching you to do this, aren't they? She didn't accuse or threaten. She just said she'd seen students forced into inappropriate situations before and wanted to help. I completely broke down and told her everything about my father's revenge plan and the files we'd built on innocent teachers. She listened without judgment and said we needed to protect everyone involved. We went to the principal together, and I handed over all the manufactured evidence, explaining how my father had orchestrated everything. The principal called an emergency meeting with all the teachers I'd targeted. Sitting in that room, confessing to 8 women who'd only tried to help me was the hardest thing I'd ever done. My father exploded when the school contacted him. He showed up with a lawyer, claiming the female teachers had been grooming me, and the school was covering it up. My son's been victimized by predatory women, and now they're silencing him, he shouted. He'd already started posting on men's rights forums about female teachers targeting male students, using carefully edited screenshots as proof. When the school didn't cave, he escalated. He filed complaints with the state board, claiming Ms. Burns had manipulated me. He organized protests with fathers' rights groups, holding signs about protecting boys from female predators. 2 of my teachers resigned immediately rather than fight the accusations. Dad said we were going after my mother, his boss, and the judge now, before I could ruin my credibility anymore. Just when I felt totally boxed in, I remembered that my dad had recorded our training sessions because he had big dreams of selling his program to other wronged fathers. I went back to my principal with the recordings, and he took them straight to the police. They clearly showed him teaching me to fabricate evidence against innocent teachers. He got 12 years for extortion, conspiracy, and corruption of a minor, and I had to relearn how to talk to women from scratch.